What's up, guys? Bullfather Fail-Handed here, bringing you the Art of the Leo Part 1. Here we are in War Standard Battle. The greens have the southern spawn, the reds have the northern spawn. Typically in a medium tank, the Leo especially, I tend to go right flank or up the middle. What this tank has going for it is an amazing gun attached to an amazing hull. Okay, you have .30 accuracy with 1.9 aim time. Some of the best in the game aside from the Waffenträger E100. Standard 268 penetration. Well, sorry, it's standard, you know, if you have a German medium, because they typically run considerably higher penetration. What I meant was standard was the 390 damage. That's typically where most of your mediums are going to be, minus of course the fast-firing Russian tanks. This tank recently received a load buff. It helps a little. It gets your load time down some. Now, what you have to understand about this tank is it experiences very little speed bleed. What I mean is when you're making maneuvers at high speed, you know, you don't notice a very definite loss of velocity. In other words, you can go around, you can cut down it, you can do curves, and you don't lose a whole lot of speed. And that's something that some tanks do not have. You know, back to things that you need to exploit with this tank. The 410 meter view range, you have to exploit the mess out of that. It's the second best view range in the game. It's ridiculous. As well as, you know, the gun's depression of -9 degrees. Second best in the game. 10 obviously is the best, that belonging to the STB, CDC, things like that. The gun though on this tank is just, it is a tack driver. You can set it range and do wonderful things. The tank lacks a bit as far as clutch shots go because it has so much reticle bloom. The reticle bloom on this tank, it's not too good when you're moving at a decent clip. But you know, the good news is you can stop the tank, and it, you know, you don't need a GLD on this tank. It's quite amazing as far as, you know, the speed and accuracy of the gun. Now, that being said, back to the matter at hand. This is primarily a support tank. You want to stay, you know, out of the enemy's range. It's got good camouflage. It's not the best. The best belongs to the 430, second best to the Batchat. I believe the Leo is third in place. With the gun, though, you know, I just can't say enough good things about the gun. You know, the mobility. This tank has the speed. It has the turning. You know, the soft stats. The ground resistance. I mean, you know, there's just so many things that I will go into later in this series that, you know, you will start to understand how amazing this tank is. I've always said this is the most OP tier 10 medium, and I still believe that. And I truly, I mean, it's just, the tank is outstanding. It really is. And, you know, you don't really have a whole lot to fear if, you know, you stay at a range. If you stay at a decent range, you know, you're over a hill, you know, more likely than not, you can just nickel and dime the reds just to death before they even get to you. What I typically do is I'll pull up into a hill, I'll fire, I'll take a shot, I'll back down, and then I will completely wait until my sixth sense is off, and then I'll pull up and I'll take another shot. So that's, you know, that's typically how I do business. You know, you want to use the bushes, anything you can do, really. You know, and the heat on this tank is just incredible. You know, you're talking massive boost in penetration. Like I said, I'm going to go into, you know, specific details and numbers later at a later date. As you can see, I don't run a whole lot of them because you don't really need them in this tank because the penetration is so good in your standard APCR. Little known fact, APCR in a tier 10 medium does not lose penetration over a distance versus your standard APCR in non-tier 10 tanks. Little known fact. And I believe the developers did that because APCR in your tier 10 mediums is your standard round. So that being said, you know, as far as the battle goes, we've kind of just shot down the 9 line, did a hook, and came back around them. And, you know, it's working out wonderfully. The downside is, of course, they're posted up on our cap. But aside from that, you know, we just could not kill them fast enough to get to this cap in a timely fashion. Yet, here we are, and we're kind of duking it out. Our platoon versus their platoon. And we seem to be doing okay. Now, something you need to know about this tank, it's not a brawler. It doesn't have the ammo, or excuse me, it doesn't have the armor to be a brawler. It's very thin skin, and you know, if it were me, I would always go for speed mobility over armor, because how many games have you been in your favorite tough tank and not blocked anything? That's exactly what I'm saying. You're never guaranteed a bounce in an armored tank. Food for thought. Guys, thank you for watching Art of the Leo Part 1.